The new year brings to Filipino consumers a looming train fare hike and more expensive water bills. The government ramps up irrigation projects and watches prices closely as El Nino looms large. And the Agriculture Department is puzzled by the increasing prices of rice despite a fixed production cost for the staple. Fast, focused, and fearless, here's a roundup of stories we're watching now. I'm Denise Tang. The DOTR has confirmed a fare hike for the MRT3 next year. The Transportation Department is expecting the fare increase to be implemented within the first quarter of 2024. The MRT3 management is looking at a hike between 3 and 6 pesos depending on the distance traveled. That's an increase of 2 pesos and 29 centavos in boarding fare and a 21 centavo increase per kilometer. Once enforced, the minimum fare at the MRT3 would be more expensive at 16 pesos, while the fare from the rail line's end-to-end stations will go up from 28 pesos to 34 pesos. Speaking of hikes, consumers in Mega and Metro Manila will have to brace for higher water bills beginning next month. West Zone concessionaire Manila will increase rates by almost 8 pesos per cubic meter that's starting January 1st. This means low-income Lifeline customers will have to pay an additional 4 pesos and 74 centavos, while those consuming 20 to 30 cubic meters per month can expect an additional 100 to 200 pesos in their water bills. For East Zone concessionaire Manila Water, low-income Lifeline customers can expect an additional 3 pesos in their monthly water bills, while regular consumers using 10 to 30 cubic meters of water per month could be charged an additional 34 to 154 pesos. The MWSS has acknowledged the impact of this rate hike on consumers, but it explained the additional charges will cover expenses of water regulators in mitigating the impact of El Nino.
I'm asking the public for their understanding. It's still an added burden, but we feel that this is a necessary burden because what is more important is to ensure that the proper service is given to the consumers and that there will be water at the tap, especially with the looming El Nino. I can guarantee that there will be no water crisis because of these projects.
NEDA Secretary Arsenio Balisacan says the country may not be able to achieve the upper end of the government's growth target. The goal is 6.5 to 8%. Balisacan cited El Nino as a risk with the weather phenomenon possibly sending food prices surging. The dry spell and drought could persist until the second quarter of 2024. Just yesterday, President Marcos ordered government agencies to intensify efforts to address El Nino's effects. At least 65 provinces are expected to experience El Nino.
So with respect to growth, to the effect on the economy, I don't think that it will make a big. It will impact, and what the channel will probably more on the prices. The big difference between 1997, 1998, and now is that the relative share of agriculture in the economy is now much smaller. Now our agriculture is roughly on something like 10% of the economy. No?
The government is ramping up 3 major irrigation projects amid the threat of El Nino. The National Irrigation Administration expects to finish 3 high dam projects by the first quarter of 2024. Recall that Malacanang has tapped all concerned state agencies to come up with interventions to minimize the impact of drought. An El Nino task force will also be created to boost the country's preparedness.
Ang ginawa na po namin sa meron kaming initial consultation, humingi po kami ng tulong sa iba't ibang national government agencies like itong DA, ma'am, para yung aming kayang patubigan ngayon ay bigyan kami ng mga high-yielding varieties para kung meron mang tayong hindi kaya mapatubigan, at least bawi po natin sa yield. At of course, meron ding ibinigay sa atin ngayon na extra funding ang Congress para naman po sa mga solar irrigation.
We're bringing you more stories after this quick break. Keep it here on One News. Thanks for staying with us here on One News Now. I'm Denise Tan. House Senior Deputy Speaker Gonzalez defends the chamber's push for charter change. Gonzalez clarified that they will only try to amend economic provisions in the 1987 Constitution. He also downplayed the Senate's reservations about Chacha and reports that they're planning to install a prime minister. There are also concerns that proposed constitutional amendments may touch on political provisions such as term extension for incumbent national officials.
Alam mo kasi ang mga senador ay ilang con-as na yung ating pinasa sa kanila, economic provision, still wala pa ring movement. So hanap tayong isang mode, baka itong People's Initiative, yung PI. So marami nang nag-uudyok sa baba na they are now starting, di ba, to educate the masses. Ang tanong lang naman pumapayag ba kayong amendahan natin yung konstitusyon? Di ba? Pumapayag.
Here's a glance at the day's other top stories. The Department of Agriculture is questioning the recent increase in the prices of rice. Agriculture Assistant Secretary Arnel de Mesa says that the prevailing price of rice per kilo should only be at 51 pesos. But there are reports that some retailers are selling regular milled rice at 54 pesos. De Mesa stresses there should be no hike as the buying price of unhusked rice only increased in November. Transport Group Piston has set up camp in front of the LTFRB Central Office. Piston, together with the No to PUV Phase-Out Coalition, are demanding the scrapping of the PUV modernization program. Piston claims there are still more than 60,000 unconsolidated units nationwide. The transport strike will continue until tomorrow, December 15. A low-pressure area has been monitored outside the Philippine Area of Responsibility. The LPA was last spotted 1,865 kilometers east of southeastern Mindanao. This may enter PAR on Saturday. However, Pag-asa is not expecting the LPA to intensify into a tropical storm. And heads up commuters, the MRT3 will still be operating during the holiday season, including Christmas and New Year's Eve. But there are minor adjustments. On December 24 and 31, MRT3's last trip from North Avenue is at 7:45 p.m. or 2 hours earlier than the regular schedule. The last trip from Taft Avenue, meanwhile, will be at 8:23 p.m. On Christmas and New Year's Day, trips begin at 6:30 a.m. for both North Avenue and Taft Avenue stations. The DOTR says commuters should have little to no problems during the holiday season as the MRT3 will be on regular operation. Big stars have gathered for the inauguration of the Metro Manila Film Festival Auditorium. Among those who were present were lead actors in MMFF entries including Ding Dong Dantes, Derek Ramsey, Enchong D, Eugene Domingo, Christopher De Leon, and Alden Richards. A total of 10 films will be shown in cinemas nationwide starting December 25 until January 7. On December 16, a parade of stars will be held in the Kamanava area. One News Now will be back tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. I'm Denise Tan. We are One News, all sides, all the time.